Hey everyone, just a quick warning. This episode does have explicit language and may not be appropriate for kids.
So where are we going? The Bank of America and...
It depends, like, what all you want to, you already know, I mean, how much have you read and all that, you know?
A lot.
Well, you probably know more than I do. I'm serious, because It's not like I only had access to about 10%.
Of your own story.
Yes.
I would think you would know 100% of your own story.
No, I don't really care. Half of it's probably bullshit anyway.
My name is Nate Scott. I'm a reporter and editor at For the Win and USA Today Sports. This is The Sneak. You first heard of Anthony Curcio last week when he was named as one of the lead suspects in the Brinks truck robbery that took place in Monroe, Washington in 2008. Curcio now is 38 years old, muscular, with a strong jaw and hair that's just starting to gray. Just the way he carries himself, you can tell he was once, and probably still is, a great athlete. While he played basketball at a high level, football was Anthony's first love.
And I idolized my dad, and so he played college ball and then got hurt before he kind of had a chance to play in the pros. And he would talk about, you know, some of the things and some of the, you know, like a touchdown pass or something that he caught. And it was like, as a kid, I mean, a lot of people probably can relate. They want to be like their dad, you know? And
While his dad was a minor legend for his football prowess, and Anthony would eventually become one, the game didn't come naturally to him. Not at first. A story he tells in great detail is about his 5th grade year. Anthony joined a football team, but the coach never let him play.
played like lineman, I think, twice. And at the very end of the season, we're doing this like awards night or whatever. And he gives all the awards, you know, the kids one is like MVP and all this stuff, and offensive player of the year, you know, the cool awards. Well, for me, I got the coach's award. And he brings me up there and he's like, you know, Anthony's a good kid. I always did what he was told, you know, very respectful. But man, this kid, he wanted to be a receiver and he just could not catch.
Anthony says the coach and the crowd began to laugh at him. He was so humiliated by the ceremony, he says he quit the sport for 4 years. He marks that incident up on stage as one of the defining moments of his life.
Oh, it was devastating. It broke my heart. I mean, what kind of douchebag says that shit anyway to a little kid? An idiot. Yeah, it stayed with me for a long time.
Eventually, by high school, Anthony made his way back to football. And despite what that 5th grade coach said, he became a wide receiver. His first few seasons, he struggled with injuries. But then his junior year came, and Anthony started catching touchdowns. Lots of them.
What it came down to is, like, I just wanted that fucking ball. If it was up in the air, I was going to, you know, do whatever I got to do to get as high as I can to grab it. And if he's going to jump higher, then I'm going to, like, hit him in the side or whatever I got to do.
Anthony was fast. He was tenacious. He knew how to run a route. He'd use those skills to build a phenomenal high school football career, which he'd channel into a scholarship to the University of Idaho. Years later, he'd use those skills again in another one of the defining moments of his life.
There's a moment you're running down the dirt path, you're carrying an 80-pound bag of money.
Yeah.
Did that remind you of returning a punt in football? I mean, was it a similar?
No.
What was different?
The adrenaline aspect of it is similar, I guess. Like, there's some similarities. But, yeah, I mean, did, like, my speed come into play then? Absolutely, for sure. I probably ran, like, a 4.3 with that money. I was that scared.
Why are you famous or infamous?
I'm not famous, that's for sure. I am infamous because of in the armored car robbery in 2008 or 9. Shit, when was that? September of 08. The reason it got media attention was because of, well, number one, I escaped on an inner tube. And number two, I hired decoys, I guess you'd say, to help me pull off the robbery. And then number three, I was busted by a homeless guy.
Yes, Anthony Curcio is DB Tuber. You've already heard a few other descriptions of him from family, from casual acquaintances, and from 911 callers. We spent 4 days with Anthony in and around Monroe, Washington this summer, talking about the crime he's now infamous for. I also spent hours over the last few months speaking with Curcio on the phone. Talking with Anthony is exciting and fun, but it can be exhausting. He'll be the first to tell you he's not the best at staying on topic. Listening back to our interviews from this summer, I'd hear the two of us talking about one thing, then we drop it, only for us to pick up the conversation again 2 days later. He'll give you a detail about his story, then hours later give you another detail that completely changes what you initially thought about what happened. It's why, even now, months after I first spoke with Anthony, I'm still learning new things about the crime. It's partly why this story, well, it's about to get so strange. We're getting ahead of ourselves, though. Let's go back. Back to when Anthony showed up at the University of Idaho. Just another wild athlete ready to tear up the football field and the party scene.
So I went, right after high school graduated, I went probably like 2 weeks after to U of I, and then before the school year even started, I got my first MIP or MIC.
MIP stands for minor in possession of alcohol. Anthony was busted for drinking.
And then Paul Scanzi was a receiver for the Seahawks. He was my receiver coach. He's like, man, you're getting busted already, whatever. And he's like, just don't do it again. So he ran me like all day, all after practice. Must have been like 3 hours. And I was like, yes, sir. I'm not going to do that anymore.
2 weeks later, Anthony got arrested again. This time for stealing a framed photo out of a fraternity house. He was suspended for the entire season.
So suspended from the team. And that was a real wake-up call. Like, my parents were pissed, just like super disappointed. I was disappointed. And I finally got focused.
Anthony cleaned up his act. He would still have some fun, sure, but he got in the weight room and he got in shape. He had a new coach that next season, too. Future Oakland Raiders head coach Tom Cable. Cable was tough, says Anthony, and hell-bent on making sure the team was fit, to the point that players regularly vomited in practice. But Anthony was in shape and ready to make an impact. But then he got hurt. We're in Anthony's garage at his house in Redmond, Washington, which is about 20 miles southwest of Monroe. Anthony is standing by the back wall, admiring an entire city built of Legos. Some of the Lego buildings are just collector's items he likes. There's an Apple store and a Starbucks. But there's also a river and an armored truck.
Asking to be robbed from my Lego self.
Yeah, Lego Anthony is there too. You're about to hear the voice of my co-producer, Pat Shanahan.
Is that what you were wearing that day?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's as close to as what I could get. Yeah, I think, I don't know if I had a yellow vest or an orange vest, but yeah, it's almost identical. I thought it would be a lot of fun to do this. And I'm sure people are like, oh my God, that's horrible. He's promoting. I don't give a shit anymore. I really don't. I'm all about just being creative. That's all I want to do.
Anthony eventually wants to make a stop-motion video.
That will be my goal by the time this comes out. I wonder how long it will take to do the full robbery. I'll have to make it quick, though.
If he does it, the plan at least is for the stop-motion video to show Anthony committing the crime. Lego Anthony will sneak up behind the Lego Brinks truck employee, spray him, then get away down the river. Then he'll head over to a Lego office and ask to use the phone, just like real Anthony did on that day. That's a part of the story Anthony loves to talk about, by the way. There was a big group of people in that office, all wondering what was going on. And they all went outside looking up at the police helicopters, which were all looking for Anthony. There are also people around that you know and...
No.
Oh, you don't know them?
No. I don't
No
know.
one was curious why you were all of a sudden part of this group.
They might have been. I don't know if I was. It'd be interesting to see how good of acting job I did.
Back in Lego City, Anthony is moving the pieces around his little world.
It looks like the Bricks armored car was probably making a delivery here to Lego City Bank. These guys somehow were brought to the scene. Somehow, I don't really know. But They appear to be happy, and I would guess innocent of whatever they're being chased for, which you got a cop ready to cuff this dude, FBI agent.
While Lego FBI are arresting an innocent Lego bystander, who I suppose in this scenario was hired off of Lego Craigslist, Lego Anthony is making a smooth escape down the river.
He looks like he's having an easier getaway than you did.
A lot better easy. He's standing up in the boat. Look at that. He's all happy. He's got the thing. He's smiling. I don't know how close you can get. Yeah, much easier. Here, if it was me.
After he says this, real Anthony moves Lego Anthony up to the roof of the fire building.
Yeah, right there, he's realizing that even though he's on top of the world, or in this case, the top of this fire station, he's got money and he's miserable as shit, see? Because really he's got an opiate addiction and he's materialistic, and it's time for him to go to the can, which I need to build a prison.
It all happened on a punt return.
It was like, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks before the first game, and on a punt return, just right on the AstroTurf in, it's called the Kibbe Dome, which AstroTurf is great because you're so, whatever, but
Anthony makes a motion like he's cutting hard on the turf.
I had basically grabbed, and then someone had, grabbed me, and I was like trying to hop out of it, and then I just got hit the wrong way. And it was like a pot, it was the same knee that I did when I was in high school, but it was bad.
Anthony had torn the ligaments in his knee.
And that was when I was given Vicodin. And it was really like I was super depressed. And it was a timing thing. It was like, here I am, super depressed, mad about all my value was wrapped up in this sport, not as like in me at all. And here, this little pill, if I take 2 of them as opposed to 1 or 3 of them, whatever, all that goes away. I'm happy. So, fuck, knowing my personality, you think I'm just going to take it once? No.
Anthony started using Vicodin regularly and stopped attending classes. He walked away from the football team, then transferred just across the state line to Washington State, where Emily was. Emily was a stabilizing force, and Anthony was able to eke it out. He graduated, then moved home and found work.
I got involved with real estate and was buying and selling homes.
Anthony found some success at first.
And I don't remember how many places I had, but I had quite a bit of financial responsibility that I had no money coming in.
Anthony's timing couldn't have been worse. Just as he was set to take over the real estate world, the global housing market collapsed. Anthony had bought multiple homes with the idea that he'd renovate and sell them, but now he was stuck. He says at that time he owed $17,000 a month in mortgage payments and other expenses.
I think like the first 3 months or whatever, I was trying to basically use savings to pay for this stuff, but quickly that ran out. I became desperate.
It was a perfect storm for Anthony. He had twice been made victim by 2 of the largest American tragedies of the 21st century, the opioid epidemic and later, the housing market collapse. It was enough to drive a man to do something crazy, something desperate, something that, in an odd way, a life of football had prepared him for. You're about to hear the voice of David Kushner, who wrote about Anthony's crime for GQ magazine.
I always thought about him as a football player, when you're a football player like that, you grow up, executing these plays. And that's sort of how I saw it with him. He's calling routes like he was trying to anticipate everything.
You know what happens next. Anthony, driven by his addiction and a desperate financial situation, would pull off the heist. He would go on to be undone by a quick-thinking homeless man named Alan Dean, who Anthony had underestimated. It's a perfect crime story. There was a brilliant plot, then quick thinking under pressure during the execution. Finally, the comeuppance, brought about by a small yet tragic mistake. Poetic. straight out of a crime novel. Factor in the opioid epidemic and the housing market collapse, add a dash of high school football, and it's hard to imagine a more perfect modern American crime story. That was the story we knew when we first started researching this crime. That's the story that, if you ask him, Anthony is all too happy to tell. There's only one problem. That's not the real story of what happened. The more reporting we did and the more people we talked to, we realized that just about every part of the above story isn't true. Or not the whole truth, anyway. It's embarrassing now looking back on those early days of us reading up on the strange case of Anthony Curcio. We thought we knew exactly what happened, from start to finish. It was days into the process when my co-producer, who was also named Anthony, finally made a realization. It was maybe our sixth time reading one of the stories that had been written about Curcio. We were going over the bit about Curcio walking into the realtor's office, asking to use the phone, hoping no one would notice his wet feet. And then my Anthony asked a question that changed this entire investigation. A question that, as far as we could tell, no one had thought to ask in the 10+ years since the crime occurred. "Wait," he said. When Curcio asked to use the phone, who was he calling? The Sneak is a project of For the Win and USA Today Sports. It is produced by myself, along with Anthony Pacillo and Pat Shanahan. Audio engineering and sound design from Chris Bowerbank, and our sound recordist is Josh Savare. Research and additional production from Daniela Schneider. Our executives are Kate Gutman and Mark Hyland. Thanks to Emmanuel Lozano, Joe Myers, and the Monroe Police Department.
Hey sports fans, if you want to see more videos like this, check out some of our other ones right here. And if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and stick around for more from USA Today Sports.